Hi. So, quick thoughts before I go and see Batman v Superman. I'd like to say that I think the movie is actually going to be good. Now, it's the 23rd, and it's about almost an hour away from where I want to see it. And I just wanted to say that the earlier reviews, and the critic reviews now are out. So, I feel like, we knew they were going to be negative, right? But they were far beyond negative. They were just like super bashy and trashy. Now I didn't necessarily read them, but I had a friend who read them, and he told me that they were like that, and I'm not surprised at all. But I'm not gonna be surprised if the movie turns out to be similar to Man of Steel, which is still pretty great. I mean, I watched it just yesterday, so I'm really hoping this movie is similar to pacing, if not better. I've heard a few things about it that I don't really agree with, but I hope they're not true because most of them are exaggerated. So, what I expect this movie to be is have good pace, visuals are going to be phenomenal as always, voice acting. From what we've seen from the TV spots and trailers, I think Gal Gadot will do fine. Maybe, I don't know, the whole Green Lantern thing, the whole. I feel like they're gonna do the Death of Superman storyline, and they're gonna do they're gonna do the Death of Superman storyline in reverse to the Dark Knight Returns. You know how in Dark Knight Returns Batman dies and then Superman sees him to be alive. I feel like they're gonna do the same thing, and I think I've read a non-spoiler kind of. I think they dropped this. The thing is with non-spoiler reviews is when they drop a comparison to something and you've actually read that thing, it's an actual spoiler because we are like, oh well, it's gonna be like a reverse Dark Knight. I was like, okay, so Superman dies. So what the fuck? But if that happens, it's fine. Uh, Obviously, this will be attached to my thoughts, but I just want to point out before I see it, what I think and what I expect from it. Fucking vote. So let's hope it's actually good and it's decent and it's not a bad movie. After BVS. This ain't no Star Wars. I'll tell you that. Yeah, boy. Much better. Much better than The Force Awakens. That's for sure. So much better. Oh my god. I just did a lot of it. Bro. Bro. Fucking solid. Oh, so it's 1:43 a.m. in the morning. I came back from seeing Batman v Superman. Now, last time, when I went and see something that I've been anticipating for a while, it was Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and that didn't go as expected. Kinda did, kinda didn't. Even though I got that one thing spoiled, even in this movie, I got the main thing spoiled. But still, let's say we went with equal spoilers to each movie, right? This movie is far superior in a sense of it was more original and way more fun, even though critics say it's not fun. Now let's talk about that a little bit. This is gonna be my somewhat of a non-spoiler review / thoughts of each character and how they were represented in the movie. Now, the main storyline we know is the whole Lex Luthor is the evil guy, Doomsday, the team getting together to fight after Batman v Superman fight. This is nothing that you don't know already from either teaser trailers or whatever. Now, thing is, we know that this is inspired by Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. It's also inspired by another comic. Or two of them, let's say. Because I don't want to get into spoilers, but let's say it's a comic book movie gold for comic book readers who just want to see things adapted into movies. it's kind of hard, really, to not talk about it without spoiling things, but I'm gonna try my best. So let's start with characters. Let's start breaking them down. Now, I just want to say that about Bruce Wayne, the first 5 minutes of the movie, I was tearing up. Like I was about to cry because Zack Snyder is just so good at doing his, the beginning of his movies are always so great because he manages to capture everything without, having it go on for so long, introducing you to the character. So, what he did was just so great. I mean, we know that Martha and Thomas Wayne die, and because Batman Origin, right? But it was done in the beginning of the movie. No fucking shit, right? But because it was such a short segment, I'm sorry, I guess it's a spoiler, but it doesn't really matter. The way he did it was original, compared to all the other origins that we've seen, and it always happens in the beginning of the movie, so it doesn't really matter. But the way he did it was way more original than any other adaptation on film. Like, each thing that they've done in previous movies is just so redundant and it all feels the same. That's why they're like, oh, another Batman origin. This is the Batman origin that you want to be like, that's the definitive one. Yes, I mean, some things felt a bit exaggerated, but they all made sense by the end of the movie. Now, let's talk about Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is exactly what you know him to be. He is that playboy. You actually see him be the playboy. And I know, you look at him as like, what? You can't really see it, right? Actually, you see it, and it's really weird, because you're like, because you don't really, you say, oh, it's gonna be an older Batman, but you don't really feel that way watching the trailers. And listening to people who've seen the movie, it's like, they're trashing everything, right? They're trashing the whole movie, trashing everything about it. So me, as an actual fan who's seen it, and knowing Batman, and reading a shit ton of Batman comics, this is, let's say, this Bruce Wayne is a combination of The Dark Knight Returns plus Batman animated series plus kinda Batman Year One-ish, but if you were to introduce him to aliens. It's... When we get to the Batman, okay, let's just get to the Batman part. So that's about Bruce Wayne, right? He's a smart guy, he does his things, he avoids being more Bruce Wayne than Batman, because now, with his old age, he's more grasped of, I am Batman, that's who I am from the inside, and Bruce Wayne is just a facade, and he's more concentrating on that part rather than his actual social life, which Alfred makes points of multiple times, and actually the funny part of the movie, which I don't know why critics say there aren't fun parts. It's absolutely fucking crazy. But yeah, let's talk about Batman. So this Batman, people say, it's like Dark Knight Returns Batman, Frank Miller's version. Yeah, let's do that, plus Thomas Wayne Batman, plus amped up by 100. Zack Snyder managed to do is, he managed to make Batman feel, relatable, actually human. I know that's gonna sound weird. It's gonna sound weird because it's like Nolan's Batman is, but he's the definitive real version because he was put in, non-crazy alien, fictional, more realistic way. That's not true. When I was looking at this Batman compared to Nolan's Batman, this Batman felt more human when he was between all of those people with power, because we know that, they get together and they fight Doomsday, but seeing him in there, you're looking at him as like, holy shit, what is he gonna do? Because you're looking at the other people just like fucking going bananas, flying shit, exploding all everywhere, and he's just like standing there, it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? He's gonna punch me one time and I fucking die, right? And you're like, okay, really, what is he gonna do? Because in the other movies, you're like, okay, he's Batman, and that's his power. But in this movie, you don't feel like Batman is his power. You're like, you're Batman. Now what are you gonna do? Because in the animated series, if you've seen, watched it, you see Batman, but you see him get beat up. And in the other movies, except for, Christian Bale's Batman getting beat up by Bane, you don't really see him get, beat up a lot. And in this version, you actually see Batman not be absolutely invulnerable, right? You see him be vulnerable by basic thugs. And I'm not saying, he's getting his ass handed to him, but he gets hit. He's not absolutely fucking untouchable. And that's good. That makes him more relatable. I can't believe I'm saying that a Zack Snyder movie makes a superhero be more relatable than a person whose main objective was to make a character more relatable. That's crazy. But yeah, this Batman is, it's just, it's really good. It's a good Batman. And, all those people who were afraid, I knew it. After the first trailer, I knew that it was gonna be fine. I know at the beginning I was kinda like, Ben Affleck? I hadn't seen Daredevil by then. I was like, and then I watched Daredevil, and I was like, it didn't change my opinion because I already had seen The Town, and I actually benched a few, Ben Affleck movies because I wanted to see how good he was. And it was fine, and I was okay with it. But now that you've seen it in action and the whole thing, it's solid. It's Batman. He is Batman now, and you just have to accept it. Now let's talk a little bit about Wonder Woman, because that's gonna be a short little segment that I'm gonna do here. It's like Wonder Woman has been praised to be the woman who stole the show. She's the main main thing of the movie. She's the one that shines. That's not really true, because that's an over-exaggeration. She barely was in the movie, in a sense of not that she wasn't in the movie, her role in it wasn't important. One cameo was more important than she was in the whole freaking movie, which was weird. Now, I can't really talk about the cameos because that'll be a spoiler. But let's say, well, we already know of the Flash cameo and the Aquaman cameo. There were other cameos there. Let's say, let's just say that of all the cameos, there was one cameo that was the biggest, and it actually impacted the whole movie. Let's just say it like that. Moving on with, I was gonna say, Diana Prince, you don't get anything from her. It's just, she was alright. Now, about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I guess we didn't see her act as much as I'd like to be able to judge her acting skills, which is still fine. It's absolutely alright. I don't hate her. I was afraid that she might not be able to act side by side with these good actors. And she did alright. She didn't get a lot of lines. She didn't get a lot of good spots, let's say that. But, I guess she was kind of important to the story, kind of not. It's, without getting into spoilers, the movie could have worked without her. Let's say that. So, the other thing, let's talk about Superman a little bit. Or should I? Okay, it's gonna be hard to talk about Superman on this one. Now, if you're a Superman fan, and you read comics, and you just love the Superman from the comics, right? Zack Snyder didn't lie to you when he said that this movie is a Superman, just comic readers will love this Superman, and that's true. If you're a Superman fan, you know you've read the important comics, and he manages to adapt something that you love. Now, no spoilers here, common sense, but it's so good, and it's done like these two huge, let's just say that they're two huge separate stories combined into one, with one being twisted around, plugged into the other one, it's just so good, you know? I've read both comics, it's just so good. Oh, oof, so good. I can't reveal, you know, one of them being The Dark Knight Returns and the other one being something else. I can't really say what it is, but I mean, some people have put it together, some others haven't, some have chosen other to relate it to, and it still kind of works. But Superman in this movie is just, I mean, you get a lot of Clark Kent, like a lot of Clark Kent. Like at one point, you're not sure if you're looking at Superman or you're looking at Clark Kent in the suit, because there's this conflict that he has in him that's been dragging him since the last movie, and that's a good thing, right? But it gets to the point where it's like it's his main goal, that one thing, and it kind of pulls away from it, because in the, like, around the end of the movie, it feels like it's not developed well, because you're going, let's say you're going with 1 2 1 2 1 2, right? And by the end you jump to like 6 8 11, and it's like, but you're missing a few steps here, you can't just do that. And I guess that's, there are a few problems with this movie, but the thing is, there were also problems with Man of Steel, which were resolved here. So who knows, maybe some of the problems here that aren't even that big will be resolved in the other movies, which is absolutely probably true. And absolutely probably true is a negative, positive, I know, but you know, it's faith. And I have faith in these movies. I have faith in DC that they're going to do proper, and they are doing proper, because this movie is actually very good. I did say that, you know, you've seen it, that I have said that I feel like this movie is going to be really good. And it is really good. It's not perfect, because, again, I've only seen it once. I know there were a shit ton of Easter eggs that I barely, like, it, because I was in 3D, because it was 3D, I was barely able to see some of the things, and it wasn't in IMAX, so I couldn't really, it's not absolutely crystal clear. But also it's pretty late, you know, and I'm tired. But there was a shit ton of Easter eggs there that I just wish I'm gonna go see probably the movie again to catch all those. I mean, I can actually see them on the internet, but it's not the same thing. It's seeing them there, it's like, yeah, that, I know where that's from. It's just so good for all comic book readers, comic book fans, that DC fans will really enjoy this movie. And like I said, Superman fans will really, really enjoy this movie. And the portrayal of Superman is really good. There's, not spoilers. Fuck. There's this moment when you see it, you're like, I know where that's from. And what follows doesn't really feel like a good payout, because when that happens and the following thing happens, which leads to the battle with Doomsday, it feels like it didn't matter in a way. You know, it was just like, here comic book fans have this moment, but then it doesn't really matter that much. Which in a way, it wasn't really the important thing, because it was just to, fuck, I'm really trying to like not spoil, but shit. Let's just say that Superman was well balanced, wasn't overpowered, actually felt like he wasn't the strongest person there. Let's say Doomsday whooped his ass. Like, you actually, like, whooped his ass, I mean, like, you actually felt like Doomsday was the towering figure. Like, when he was fighting Batman, in a sense, you've seen how in The Dark Knight Returns, there's, you know, levels, and play, you know, from here to here, and they just get on the same level. But with Doomsday, it's like here, and it never gets on the same level. And that's good, because we've never seen Superman feel as vulnerable. Even with Zod, it didn't feel that way. And this was good, because you actually were like, oh man, fuck, Superman is getting his ass whooped, right? And then the Wonder Woman came in, and they all had a little fucking battle. It was pretty great. It was a great visual spectacle of explosions and fighting, and yeah, without spoilers. Now, let's talk about the wild card. Lex Luthor. Ooh, man. Ooh, boy. Now, the best comparison I have for this one is if you loved Nolan's Joker. I know it's fucking Christmas. Like, what? If you love Nolan's Joker, you will love this Lex Luthor. I wish I could compare it to something else, but it's really hard because it's really just that. It's pretty much that character, but it makes sense because in Nolan's Batman against the Joker, Joker was doing everything to fuck with Batman, right? But in this case, Lex Luthor is trying to manipulate. I mean, we already know this, that he's trying to manipulate Batman and Superman to fight it out. Because he's trying to set everything to be like for them to be his pawns, and it works. But it's so like the way he's so socially awkward. It's funny, and if you've seen Lex Luthor in any incarnation, I guess the closest thing to a Lex Luthor that we already know of would be the earlier versions, like the very early ones, like the 19-somethings Lex Luthor. That's really the closest thing. He's not a serious guy. I guess now he wasn't because he was just, coming out of his shell. But I feel like he was so fucking crazy, right? He was mental. And it feels like he was mental, but he also felt like a genius, like a crazy genius, similar to the Joker. That's why I compared it to Nolan's Joker, because it felt very similar to that. He also wore a coat, the long hair was like just fucking smack a fucking clown paint thing on his face, and he's fucking Joker. And that's good because Lex Luthor has to be the opposite of Superman, similar to how Joker is the opposite of Batman, and this worked. It worked because you've seen it in the trailer how Superman is kneeling before freaking Lex Luthor, right? When you see it in the movie, you'll understand why that's like that, and it makes sense because you can see how fucking evil he is. You'll know the reason why. He is absolutely fucking batshit crazy, insane. Just he is diabolical. That's the word you can use, diabolical. Although it felt like it just came out of nowhere, how is this person who's like this never been like this and now all of a sudden he is? That's a minor little thing because you can always excuse it, be like, well, Superman came out of nowhere, right? So that triggered him. And that works. Similar to Batman. What triggered Batman to come back? That. And I really like to see what's going to follow up on Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor is going to be one of those characters that I feel like will come back for other movies and will just continue to progress until he gets to the point where they're going to fucking kill him. Because you can't, Lex Luthor, unless you absolutely just forget about him, there's no other way. Because in comic book movies, we know that a villain is only as good as the hero, but there's only so many stories you can tell with that hero until something huge has to happen. So, yeah, Lex Luthor is absolutely fucking diabolical in this movie. I love it. I loved every single thing about him. Like I said, if you loved Heath Ledger's Joker, you'll totally love this character. And I know I've been, going around circles here because I'm trying to find the proper way to say, or just without spoiling things, how bad he is. I can't. I just can't, because that's just the way it's gonna be. You're gonna have to see the movie to realize how fucking bad he is. Bad in the sense of evil. Okay, now let's sum up a bit. Let's sum up the Daily Planet here, Lois Lane and all that stuff. You know how in Man of Steel, Lois is always in the rubble, always there in the front, like always around the destruction. Nothing changes here, except for the fact that she's more more of a center point to Superman's heart. Without spoiling, she's okay. Let's say she's a very important person in this movie. Right? She has a far more pivotal role than she does in Man of Steel. Similar to Mama Kent, because I can't believe how it's just so fucking genius how one name, I'll let you figure that out, one name can change something drastically. That's all I'm gonna say. One name can change something drastically. And another thing that I've seen, like, it feels like it's just a constant thing, is like everyone has fucking visions, right? It's like everybody's freaking crazy. Everybody's freaking crazy. And it's fine. It's fine because it kind of connects to a multiverse in a way. Because it's similar to real life. You know, every time, let's say you have a deja vu, right? It's a feeling of what could have happened in, let's say, another reality. It's similar to them. Like, if you see something happen, you can either try to prevent it or do the same thing, but it's never gonna be the same outcome. Similar to here. Without spoiling, let's say there were some things in there that hinted to that. Now, Mama Kent she was a fucking trooper, I'll tell you that one. She was the, how do I say this? She was the trigger that set up something very big that advanced something down the line in the DCEU. Let's just say that without spoiling anything. It's just something to keep you, hyped for the movie if you haven't seen it. I want you to go in there and be like, yes, okay, I want to see this. I wonder what's going to happen with this character, this character, this character. There is no character that feels underdeveloped. There are characters that are filler. There's absolutely characters that are filler, but they aren't just in there like, okay, here's the character, okay, dead. No, there are characters there that are pivotal, but also in the sense of when something happens, you're like, oh, wow, that actually, wow, I get. There's shockers in there. There's shockers. There's freaking jump scares. Shit ton of jump scares. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. The fucking theater people just in there just jumped a few times. And there's moments that'll make you cry. Now, I've had people, like, there was a few girls behind me that were actually crying because of something that happened. And I'm like, wow, these are older, not older people, but let's say like 10 years older than me, and like, they're crying over, whatever. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. A comic book movie made someone like that cry. Someone who wasn't like getting his tickets way before, like someone just came and I was like, oh, let's see this movie. And I'm like crying. And I'm like, wow. Imagine how good a movie has to be. Because I can't imagine a Marvel movie. Now, this is not bashing Marvel, but a Marvel movie with such a moment. Maybe in Civil War there'll be something like that actually mattered. But there's a difference between the gravitas of DC characters, let's say in the Trinity or the whole Justice League, compared to Marvel's Avengers, because in the cinematic universe they don't really have a weight to them, right? It doesn't feel like anything. They don't feel like this character represents this character represents that. They all feel the same. They're on the same freaking plate. Where in this movie, each is in its own separate league. Pun intended, I guess. And let's talk about Doomsday a little bit. I mean, we all know Doomsday is going to be in it, right? Now, this is going to be hard not to spoil, which I won't spoil, but I mean, common sense will lead you to the conclusion. But Doomsday does evolve. Don't listen to anyone who says Doomsday is fucking shit, he's going to look the way he evolves. And we all know this, right? Because there's no fucking way Zack Snyder, the person who loves Superman, is gonna bring in Doomsday and is gonna fucking leave him looking like a baby. No. Doomsday does evolve the way he is created. We know he's created. The way he's created is a very let's say, scientific. Like, if you haven't seen Man of Steel, you're gonna have a hard time understanding why and how it happens. But if you've seen Man of Steel, you're like, oh, that makes sense because of, that thing. It's very well done. Although, the execution and the conclusion of the whole fight was a bit lackluster. Now, if you said like, okay, well, it was just another fucking monster that they beat up and then it dies or whatever. No, it wasn't that. It was not even close to that. He actually felt like he was an actual threat. It felt like it was a whole ball of something that kept on rolling, and then it just stopped and you stopped playing with it, right? It just felt like you were buying a new ball, you played with it, and you stopped playing with it. It didn't feel like you had something to it. I mean, it had backstory to it, but it didn't feel like it mattered as much, rather than to what it led to. Doomsday was important to the story, but I felt like he obviously didn't do as much destruction to Metropolis as Zod did. But he also, like, there were shit ton of people died in this movie. Like, trust me, they will totally address that shit in the next movie, because you were like, oh, okay, well, this movie's gonna address the deaths in Metropolis. That's great. Oh, now we've killed a similar number to that people. You can't really. It's gonna be. I hope it doesn't become a trend where every DC movie has these massive battles that lead to mania deaths, and then every hero gets fucking punished for it. But I hope, like, I'm pretty sure that the way they resolve the whole problem is gonna be a lot better than the way that usually movies like that handles things. So I just hope that DC just does it justice, and they did justice to this movie, pun intended. And if I were to rate this movie, I would rate it, for seeing it one time and seeing it like very recently, like an hour ago, I would rate it a 8.2 out of 10. Now, I'm gonna say it again to clear my bias, and again, this maybe it will get better, maybe I missed something very important, but I'm gonna give it an 8.2 out of 10. And I kind of knew I was gonna give it that score before I saw the movie, and I'm glad I got that score. For me, still the best comic book movie is Watchmen. You can't fucking beat that, because it's a condensed story in a single movie. It's a whole story in a one movie. These movies will never, for me, get a 10 out of 10 because they're not a complete story. They always follow up to something else. And I guess that's why they'll never be as good as a story that's just one story and that's it. It's done. No sequels, no prequels, no nothing. But yeah, this movie, I highly recommend it. All that fear that people would have, and I had. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking had fears that the movie was gonna be not that great, because of the whole bashing. And it does get shit reviews. It's getting shit reviews by critics, but fans really enjoy it, so it's fucking crazy, right? But it doesn't matter. It matters if you enjoy it. So I want you to go watch the movie, and I want you to enjoy it for yourself. I want you to judge it for yourself. Let me know, did you enjoy the movie? Did you not enjoy the movie? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Spoil, don't spoil, it doesn't matter, because when this review right comes out, people will most likely have seen it already. So yeah, an 8.2 out of 10. I was gonna give it a 5, but I wasn't sure. 8.5, I mean 5, no. But I wasn't sure if it would do that, if it was actually that great. The music is phenomenal. I'm not even gonna talk about the music. Give me fucking Hans Zimmer, dude. Like, what are you, like, crazy? Of course it's gonna be great. I just can't wait for the extended cut. I felt like I feel like I know where these extended cuts are gonna be at when seeing the movie, because like it feels like here would be a thing that would add to it, and that's great. I can't wait, Zack Snyder, you're a fucking genius. I loved Watchmen, I like Man of Steel, I really like this movie, and I can't wait for Justice League. I know Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad are coming before that, but I can't really judge those because I haven't seen much of them. Suicide Squad, it's not the next movie I'm gonna see, it's Apocalypse, but I will be seeing Suicide Squad, and I hope I enjoy it as much, if not more, because it's its own unique story. We'll do something about that one. We'll do a review or thoughts or something. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.